Hey guys, Matt and Alex here with Building the Dream Duluth, and we're here with Dr. Christine Hammer, the owner of True North Orthodontics. She's been a practicing orthodontist now for the last 9 years and just opened her practice a little over a year ago. So we're going to interview her today.
So, Dr. Hammer, give us a little bit of the insight of what you were like before you got into orthodontics. Did you have any hobbies? Did you have any things when growing up as a kid that led you this way?
Sure. Life before orthodontics. Is there such a thing? Well, I grew up here in Duluth and went to Holy Rosary School, then Marshall, and never really ventured too far from Duluth. I guess I like it here. So I went to college. Yeah, I went to college down at St. Thomas in St. Paul, dental school at University of Minnesota, and then stayed at Minnesota for my residency. A few things about me, I guess, outside of practicing orthodontics. My husband Kyle and I live here in Duluth. We have 3 kids. Ben and Stella are both in 1st grade, and then Luke is 3 and a half, and he is a challenge, and he's definitely all of 3 and a half. And then outside of my family, I enjoy long distance running. I ran cross country in high school and kind of got into marathon running in college. So that's something that is a nice break for me and helps keep me grounded and always serves as a good time for reflection. And here in Duluth, we're lucky. We have a lot of great trails to run on and a lot of good scenic places to log your miles. So I guess that's a little bit about me. I'm glad to be practicing back in my hometown, and I guess I have been for the past almost decade now. But yeah. Duluth's a great spot, and I'm really proud to own a business here too now.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get started in the field then, or what made you kind of decide to go this route?
Yeah, my dad was a general dentist here in Duluth for about 30-some years, and prior to that, his dad, my grandpa, was an anesthesiologist here. So I always kind of leaned towards going into a career in healthcare.
Yeah.
I think it's a great, you're serving others. It's a very direct way to do that. And it also, allows you in some areas to combine both art and science, and then also, human interaction as well. So I knew early on I wanted to go into healthcare, but then probably in college I started thinking a little bit more about if I wanted to go into dentistry or medicine. There were a few things that drew me to dentistry. One, we get to see our patients on a more regular basis, so we really get to develop more of a connection with them. And another great plus of dentistry is that the majority of dentists still practice on their own or owning their own businesses. And at least in our community, that seems to be a little bit more challenging to do on the medical care side of things. So that's something that I always aspired to be able to own my own business and operate according to my own values. So I spent some time with some physicians in town, dentists other than my dad too, and ultimately decided obviously to apply to dental school. And then I didn't always know I wanted to go into orthodontics in particular, but while in dental school we had a orthodontics class. Obviously you don't get to do much orthodontics or any in dental school, but you do have some didactic lectures, and so I really liked those. We spent some time with the orthodontic residents as well while in dental school, and one thing that I like about orthodontics is it's all about planning. I'm a big planner, so it really resonates well with me, and we also get to see a wide variety of patients, young kids that are going through what we call early interceptive or phase 1 treatment, and now adults too, because orthodontic treatment has become a lot more accessible for our adult patients with advances in technology and tools that are available to us to make orthodontic treatment more palatable to the adult patient as well. And really, orthodontics is great because for the most part, my patients are excited to come see me. They're not coming to see me because they're in pain or something.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So it's
when can I get these off?
Yeah, it's just, well, there's that, right? But, so it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So tell us a little more about True North Orthodontics. What sets you apart from the rest of the pack?
Yeah. At True North, it's really special to me because the practice really is a representation of myself and my core values, and my team is so wonderful to help me to live those out here in our practice. So our core values are pretty simple and easy to remember: communication, community, intention, and inspiration. So everything we do, from the very small decisions to the big ones, should echo those core values. A few things that make True North unique: I own the practice. I'm the only orthodontist here, so it makes for very consistent treatment. You'll get to know me and my team very well, and that really helps me to uphold my end of the bargain as far as communication with the patients, parents, my team, the dentist, everybody that's involved in kind of the picture of somebody's orthodontic treatment. I know what's going on, and it really helps to make sure treatment goes according to plan, things are transparent, and we can communicate very well.
Yeah. And you get a chance to then you are working with every patient,
That's right.
So you
Yeah.
get to know everything about them, and there's that obviously, yes, makes for a good relationship, because every time they come in here, they're seeing you, they get to know you.
Right.
And they
I think
know you
that's
care.
really important. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And I really, it's a newer business, right? Just not even quite 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as we've been able to, try and be involved in the community, work together with local businesses for, things as far as the design in our office, or what we give to our local dentists, or things like that. We really try and operate locally and participate in sponsorships and all of those other things too throughout the community, since it's a special place to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So so you worked for another clinic for a number of years. What made you decide to go off and open your own?
Yeah, I practiced with another orthodontist for about 5 or 6 years, and it was great. I learned a lot, both clinically and as far as business administration goes.
Like the stuff they don't teach you probably in
That's
orthodontic
right.
school.
The things they don't teach you in dental school or
Yep.
residency, really. The
Yeah.
things you learn by doing and by having a mentor, and that's valuable. But ultimately, I just envisioned a different practice style for myself. And I think it's just easier to do when you're the one in charge and you're the one that owns and operates the business. Certainly there's risks and more responsibilities that come along with that. But it does allow me to have kind of that more intimate practice environment, a smaller clinic, one location, and really to make sure that there's consistency in our decisions and that they jive with our values as well.
Yeah.
And then, so if you could do it all over again as the business owner, entrepreneur you are now, would you recommend that you practice under somebody first and then jump in, or would you go dive in head first?
I think that's really person specific.
Okay.
I would not do anything differently. I gained so much out of, practicing in a different environment for a while, and it's kind of shaped the orthodontist I am today. And
Right.
I think that all of our decisions, of course, are in large part based on our past experiences too. So I think for certain people, maybe it's more for them to start off on their own from the get-go, but this seemed to work out well for me. It wasn't my ultimate, plan to leave that practice and start my own business, but it's just kind of how things happened, and I'm really glad it did happen that way.
Well, and you get the opportunity to then, you get to learn and you get to see how other people operate and, what you like and, maybe things that you would do differently.
Right.
That's where we are today.
Yeah.
So what have been some of the major difficulties as a business owner that you've had to overcome that maybe people don't think about?
Or don't see when they look at this beautiful office we all put together.
Right.
I think that the hardest thing for me is that I need to learn to get out of my own way. Maybe it's just a lot of us as orthodontists, we tend to be, we're very detail oriented, right? And
Which people would appreciate.
Yeah.
But
but sometimes I probably apply that to too many aspects of the practice, and I tend to be a bit of a micro manager with things. So the biggest learning experience for me has been teaching myself, and I make mistakes a lot, but not to do that in certain aspects. And what I mean by that is really trusting my team, knowing that they believe in the values and are really bought into what we are doing here at True North, and letting them really take their responsibilities that are delegated to them and run with that, and not not be involved in that too much, because in so many aspects my team has better ideas than I do and sees things in a different light as well. You know, I see things through my owner and orthodontist, which are two separate roles, but owner and orthodontist lenses, and sometimes it's hard for me to see them from a different perspective. So
take a step back and
right.
Okay.
And so I just think it's so important to hire intentionally, and not necessarily for skill, but for personality and characteristics and that ultimate commitment to your practice, because the rest can be taught, as far as skill goes. And I think when you trust your team, things go the right way.
And team building is a huge part of entrepreneurship. You want to be able to scale and go farther than you could alone.
Right.
Is there anything else that you have, suggestions for people who are looking to start to get to that point where they're building a team and moving themselves away from the equation?
Well, I think, and someone else told me to read this once, and it's called the E-Myth, E for Entrepreneur. I don't know if you guys have read it, but it talks about the different roles you might play in your business and how you need to put those different hats on and kind of take a step aside from one role to be in another. And I think when you can kind of separate those different roles, then you give yourself the space to grow and work on your business and not just in your business. So I think that's something that can really be helpful, so that you do dedicate time to work on your business and your business plan and what your growth plan might be. I also think too, it's really important to keep an open, this sounds really cheesy, but to keep an open mind about things, because consultants you work with or your team or whomever, colleagues, whomever it might be, are going to bring you a lot of different ideas. Sometimes that's overwhelming and you just want to be like, no, this is the way we're doing it, because it's a lot of work to change. And some of those ideas are not going to be good and are not going to be right for your business. But I do try and look into most valid ideas that are brought to me. Say, okay, is this something that can benefit my business? What are the challenges? What are the benefits? Because you're never going to grow if you can't be receptive to new ideas. It takes time to do your research on all of those things, but you might find one where it really makes a big change in your practice. And so with opening a new practice, I've really tried to be open to changes in technology, new ways of doing things, and that's shaped a lot here at True North as well.
There's definitely a lot of technology. When I had braces, wasn't around, but you guys were implementing your grin scopes and all that.
Yeah.
That would have been so nice to have that at my ready when I was going through braces.
Yeah, grin remote monitoring has changed a lot for us, and in a good way. And when we first started using remote monitoring, almost a year and a half ago, I was kind of nervous because no one else was really using it to that extent in our area, and still across the country we would be probably considered early adopters of this kind of technology. But it has allowed us to do so much more and really give our patients a better and more convenient experience. And has allowed us to connect with our patients on their level, really, through this remote monitoring, almost text-like platform, and keep a closer eye on their treatment too, to make sure things are going according to plan. They get to the finish line when they're supposed to, if not ahead of schedule, and to troubleshoot things more easily along the way too, so people aren't making unnecessary trips to the office, or we can make sure that their in-office appointments are as productive as possible.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be, as a business owner, you have to be willing to adapt and adopt new technology, and that obviously benefits the business. So.
Right. Yes. So my team has been great in working together with that technology, because when you're an early adopter of things, there are a lot of frustrations along the way too.
Bugs or hiccups or
Yes.
You're the beta tester.
Right, because the product itself is still, well, it will always be evolving, but there are all of those hiccups along the way that you're kind of a part of as well. So that can be frustrating sometimes, but at the same time, then typically the companies you're working with are very receptive to your feedback, and so you're helping in the evolution of the product and technology as well to make it better.
And make it exactly what you want too.
Right, exactly. So that's been a positive side of that as well.
So you've been your own business owner for about a year and a half now. Previously
newbie.
practiced for 5 to 6 years. Have there been any just like really inspiring or moments where you realized, hey, this was the right choice?
Boy, you gave me this question all the time, and I was trying to think about it, and this was a really hard one for me because I almost feel like every day I walk in here to see patients, or even on days that are more administrative days, I walk in and I'm like, wow, we are doing this, and that's inspiring, I think.
I love seeing your Facebook stories of all the like smiles that come through and the evolutions. That's really cool too. To see you making that big of a difference.
I love our social media, Facebook and Instagram, and my team is the biggest part of making that happen. But if you're ever wanting to learn more about our practice, check out our Instagram. It's really authentic, and you watch it and you walk in here and you'll see that's what the practice really is like and how you'll feel when you're here. Of course, I still remember like the first day that we ever saw patients, and it was just me and my practice manager Taylor, and just the two of us, and that was a pretty inspiring day. The office took a little bit longer to finish than we thought, and we had already had patients scheduled, and we were like working out of my basement answering phones and getting things ready, and so when we finally got to come in here and start unpacking, wow, this is really happening.
Is our
And now to see, when it was just Taylor and I to start, to now we're a team of 7, and we've got just a really great cohesive team. So,
it really
maybe it's just not one moment that I can think of as inspiring. I think it's just the culmination of all of them, and I'm inspired daily to serve my team and my patients and my community.
Well, you've certainly inspired us to work better on building our own team. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. We definitely learned a lot. If beside your social media, is there anything else you want to shout out that people can figure out more information about you and your practice?
Sure. Our website is a really great place to start, truenorthsmiles.com. If you're interested in coming into the office, there are links there to book an appointment, and our Smile Care page is really awesome too, just for some FAQs about braces and orthodontic treatment as well. So thanks so much for having me, and it's been great working with you guys.